Tonight, Wylers poised to be a major supplier of steel for the nation's massive frigate project. And one Broken Hill resident's bold plan to boost the population of the Silver City.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Our region could support the nation's frigate build if BAE Systems wins the $35 billion tender. It signed a deal with Liberty One Steel and BlueScope, which will see over 40,000 tonnes of local steel used on our new Navy vessels. John Hunt has the story.
The federal government has made the use of Australian products a priority for its tender for the Future Frigates program. As the three-way race nears its finish, BAE Systems has made a big move, committing to using Australian steel if successful. BAE signed a deal with Wylers, Liberty One Steel and Wollongong-based BlueScope to bring it into its 1,600-member supply chain. BlueScope will supply the plate steel for the ships, while Liberty's Wylers plant will provide the structural steel. 48,000 tonnes will be used overall.
You already produce world-class quality steel, so it was really important to us to maximise that supply chain, hence the signing of the agreement.
Local politicians have welcomed the news.
We're not talking about a big order, but it all helps.
We like people that like us, but I expect pretty much all the other tenderers to do the same.
And the benefit for the region could extend further, with BAE confirming it's looking at local contractors.
For some of the processing and some of the added value kind of content of the steel as well before it's delivered to the tech port.
BAE Steel play comes after rival bidder Fincantieri added local fabricator Ottaway Engineering to its supply chain, which will fabricate cruise ship blocks. The Chamber of Commerce says it's good news for the town.
And for Wylers to be part of that is very, very good news, particularly for our steel industry.
In a statement, Wylers Steelworks owner Sanjeev Gupta says it'll be an honour to supply the Navy if BAE is successful. The winning bidder is expected to be announced next month.
John Hunt reporting there. Mount View Homes in Boolaroo Centre has revealed a major renovation aimed at improving the quality of life for its residents. Family and friends gathered to show their support and thanks to the community-run organisation.
It's been years in the making. Mount View Homes officially opening its new lifestyle area, saying the extension wouldn't have been possible without the support from the federal government and the local community.
Huge grant from the Commonwealth Government from the 2016 aged care approvals round, $474,000 we got.
I think it's very important that people can age in their home communities, around their families and their friends. So the Commonwealth Government recognises this.
The new extension includes a large activities room and an outside garden area for residents to enjoy, as well as improved corridors.
There's just not enough space to be able to include everybody in the events that we do. So this has just increased our lifestyle area just incredibly.
Lifestyles are an important part of the service provided within aged care facilities. They allow for companionship and friendship and social connections to be made.
With around 30 residents aged from 66 to 106, many rely on walking frames. They say the new space has made it easier for them to enjoy their time here.
Last year when I first come here, it used to be the veranda. Now it's the main room.
Very jolly place, and there are a lot of people coming here.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
As the local oyster industry breathes a sigh of relief over avoiding the deadly POMS disease, producers are still in recovery mode as they deal with a shortage of spat. This week, the new Minister for Primary Industries visited the EP's farmers to offer some support.
Oyster biosecurity at the top of the agenda.
Biosecurity is a massive issue right across the primary sector in South Australia.
In his visit to the Eyre Peninsula, the Minister for Primary Industries met with oyster producers and industry groups to discuss future-proofing the region from biosecurity and economic threats.
We're going through pretty tough times at the moment with the spat shortage because of the disease, the POMS disease.
And Mr Whetstone has shown some support in relieving that pressure.
The fees will be frozen as of the 1st of July of this year, and that'll be ongoing for 2 financial years, and that's a small step in giving them a helping hand.
And that is a huge benefit to the growers, because obviously that's a cost now that they don't have to pay during this time when they've got very low production levels.
During the minister's visit, he was also impressed to see the new production levels of locally grown spat.
But I was very, very buoyed to go out to the Yumbar hatchery and have a look at progress there.
There's an opportunity longer term, once they've been able to supply the demand from South Australia, is for them to then obviously export that spat into other states and maybe overseas as well.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
The Downer Group has struck a $660 million deal with Oz Minerals to run mining services at the Carrapateena copper gold mine. The company will be tasked with finishing the setup of the mine, as well as running production until 2025. The deal follows on from a contract Downer won in December to provide engineering and construction services on the project. After the break, we speak to the new Chief of Port Pirie Regional Council. The story next. Wylers Headspace Centre has officially opened. The facility will provide access to youth counselling for mental health issues, as well as other professionals such as psychologists and doctors. Member for Grey, Rowan Ramsey, is relieved that after 2 years of lobbying, the centre is finally functional.
Their parents can help them, or they might have a car, but not everybody does. And once you get it, over a certain distance, it's just too hard. Like 100 k's is too far to go, quite simply.
It's the second such facility in the region after Port Augusta. The rollout of the national broadband network is set to begin in Broken Hill. Construction crews will start the first stage of bringing faster internet speeds to the city tomorrow.
Broken Hill is about to be connected.
People will expect to see our staff and our crews down on the ground, lifting up pit lids, working on footpaths, getting the network ready.
It's been a long time coming, but the Silver City will soon join millions of Australians already on the national broadband network. Construction crews will start work on connecting the first 10,000 premises to the NBN. Local residents and businesses are being urged to head online to find out when their rollout will begin.
You can type in your actual address and it will tell you exactly when you can expect services, the type of service that you can expect in terms of technology, and gives you plenty of information as well about what you need to do to actually switch to the NBN, because it's not automatic.
Construction is expected to take about 3 months.
We'll start switching on the network from about August, and it usually takes, because we do it in smaller parts, smaller chunks, so it usually takes anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to switch on the whole township.
And as crews start construction and NBN staff visit the city, locals are being urged to be vigilant of scams after reports of NBN impersonators door-knocking homes.
We have had some issues where people have tried to get people's credit cards by door-knocking and saying that they'll connect them to the NBN if they provide their details. We do encourage people to never hand over their credit card details. NBN won't ask for those.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Port Pirie Regional Council has welcomed its new CEO, Peter Ackland, to town. He's only 4 days into the job, but it seems he's already making a difference with his community spirit.
Peter Ackland comes to Port Pirie with a wealth of expertise.
Minleton on the York Peninsula as the CEO of a small council there, worked through an amalgamated council into the York Peninsula Council, back to Loxton Waker as the CEO, and now here at Port Pirie Regional.
Working in regional SA since 1994, he says his understanding of how local government works is his key strength.
Partnerships with community groups, whether that's through paid roles or through volunteer groups, so that what happens is we deliver outcomes together and everybody gets a win.
He hopes his strong sense of community spirit will see Port Pirie and neighbouring towns excel further.
And look at the kind of projects that we need to try and bring forward to advance the Aspire 2027 vision we've got, which is essentially around the come see change.
In his first week of business here at Port Pirie Regional Council, Peter has met with numerous community members and representatives, and he says Port Pirie has lived up to its reputation as the city of friendly people.
Very good community person, and really look forward to having him on board.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Simek has released plans for its mining business around Wylers with a focus on producing high-grade product. It means the end of mining at Iron Knob and the reopening of one in the Middleback Ranges, but the company's promised no loss of jobs.
Iron Knob has been the cornerstone of Wylers steel and mining operations for over a century. Its time has come, with Simek to stop operations for 3 years as the company heads in a new direction.
We're resequencing our mining activity. We're going to take a pause in mining at Iron Knob, continue operating the beneficiation plant there.
Around 30 staff will stay on site to continue running the new wash plants.
We'll continue to have a strong presence at Iron Knob and a strong operation there too.
Iron Duchess in the Middleback Ranges will reopen, with workers from the Knob to make the switch. The move is being made as Simek reacts to customer demand.
Trying to make sure that our product, export product here, is matched with changing demand in China. And that's about us producing a higher grade ore for longer.
It also means the end for the major Iron Knob contractor Lucas Engineering, with current Middleback operator BGC to run the pit. But it doesn't expect any reduction in the workforce.
Although we're going to consolidate to a single mining contractor, the activity is the same, so we don't expect a change in contractor numbers either.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, the Bonk plan to boost Broken Hill's population to 25,000 people. That's next. The Smith family in Port Augusta is appealing for volunteers to help with its Learning Club. The assisted learning program for school children is in high demand in the region, and organisers are hopeful an increase in support will help cater for the popularity.
It's the program aimed at improving the learning skills of school children, and popularity is soaring. The Smith family is struggling to keep up.
We are desperate for volunteers in Port Augusta.
Without anyone in the community to put their hand up, extra programs won't be able to get off the ground, with fears Port Augusta children will fall behind.
An hour a week is all I'm after, so it's not a huge task or a huge requirement.
The Learning Club offers kids a safe environment to work through any difficulties they may be experiencing in their schoolwork. The Smith family wants to reassure volunteers not to be scared off if they think their maths or English skills aren't up to scratch.
We have volunteer tutors. Now these aren't always skilled people in maths and science and English, but they're more there as a mentoring role.
It says kids already enrolled in the program are showing rapid signs of improvement. The noticeable changes in students with behavioural problems also has the local schools begging for more.
I've got requests for another primary school learning club, and I've got a request from the secondary school to run one 4 nights a week. The sooner I can get volunteers in Port Augusta, the sooner I can get these programs up and running.
Details on how to support are on our Facebook page. Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
A Broken Hill local has unveiled plans to boost the city's population to 25,000 people. Peter Nash wants to see more residents in the Silver City over the next 7 years, but it could come at a cost to ratepayers.
25,000 by 2025.
Broken Hill has been in population decline for probably 25, 30 years.
Peter Nash has been an active member of the Broken Hill community for many years and says it's time to get people back living in the Silver City. He's proposing a $50 levy on the city's 8,000 ratepayers, which would net $400,000 every year for future projects.
If we commit to do it for 5 years, it's a significant pool of money.
He believes it'd pay dividends in the long run.
Population equals valuation. If we increase our population, then everybody's house goes up in value, or their investment property or their commercial property. So that's the win. You're actually investing in something that you already own.
While a number of upgrades around town are getting underway, he has his eye on one major hotspot. From the 1960s to the 1980s, the Imperial Lake was a summertime sensation for locals and tourists.
We need to have the conversation about whether we want it reopened. What's the benefits, what's the negatives?
Mr Nash says his plan is about getting people living in Broken Hill and not just stopping by.
We know the lifestyle. We've probably kept it a secret for too long, and we need to get out there and tell people, whether you're young and single and just starting out in life, that this is a great stepping stone.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
It's Thursday, so time for Fish and Tips.
welcome another week around the Golf Fishing Tips from Port Pirie. It's a fantastic time, as we've been telling you for weeks, but there's garfish out there at the moment, squid out there at the moment, pan-sized snapper, and lots of them to deal with. We've also got some snook just in front of the island, and if you really want to catch some really big squid, the Checkerboy area is just perfect for it. So have a crack this weekend. It should be no wind, perfect time for it. We'll see you next week.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta to Jewel North. Well, there's some kingfish floating around up around the top of the Gulf. There's a couple of dolphin fish up there that's been spotted as well. Down around the powerhouse, they're just starting to get some nice snapper in there. Crabs also at the powerhouse, and the crabs are basically everywhere at the moment. You're still getting them, taking a little bit to get in the nets, but once they're in there, getting 3 in a pool. And the squid are starting to show up along the shacks there now as well. That's all we have from the Jewel North.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Lincoln. Starting up around Tumby Bay, there's been some good catches of whiting out there at the group. Inshore, there's been some squid at the jetty, and also a few rugged snapper inshore up there as well. Moving down to Port Lincoln, there's been great squid catches and whiting starting to improve as well. Places like Proper Bay, Axel Stenros and Snapper Point have been producing a few fish late in the afternoon. Down along the south coast, the salmon are starting to improve. Schools from 2 to 3 kilos are starting to be spotted in the breakers. So get down there and have a crack. Out at Coffin Bay this week, there's been some good catches of whiting in the bay themselves. There's been a few garfish in there too. Out at Farm Beach, there's been some better catches though, and a few squid and flathead also. That's it for this week. We'll see you again next week.
Amy's here with the weather now, and Amy, a chance of rain is on the way.
We have seen a return to warmer weather in the first week of the school holidays, and it is set to continue, Fraser. However, some districts are in for a chance to see some showers early on the weekend, and I'll have all the details next. It was a return to sunny summer temperatures once again in most centres today. Port Augusta reached a much warmer 34. Port Pirie and Wylers were a couple of degrees cooler with a maximum of 32. Meanwhile, Adelaide and Port Lincoln sat in the high 20s. Taking a look at the satellite, and a trough over far western SA will cause the odd storm. However, that high pressure system is continuing to keep skies clear elsewhere. If you're kickstarting your weekend on the waters tomorrow, northeasterly winds will pick up to 15 knots, seas will reach 1 metre, and the sun will be popping up at 6:44. And before we check tomorrow's temperatures, Dale Bascombe has sent in this beautiful snap of the sunset at Lake Newland on the Eyre Peninsula. And if you'd like to share your photos with us, you can email them through to localnews@sca.com.au. Now checking on tomorrow's conditions, and some districts could see some light showers. However, it will be a mostly sunny day in Port Augusta with a top of 33. Port Lincoln and Coffin Bay will be cooler with a maximum of 26. Meanwhile, other centres will range from the high 20s to low 30s. Looking ahead into early next week, and the sun will continue in Port Lincoln with temperatures up to 29 degrees. Possible showers to start the weekend in Cleve before a cloudy 32 on Monday. Similar conditions in Woodner in the coming days with a much warmer 35 next week. Wylers is in for a fine weekend after possible showers on Friday. 33, the top there on Monday. Temperatures in Port Augusta will continue to sit in the 30s through to next week, while it will be slightly cooler in Condina over the weekend with maximums in the high 20s before a warmer 31 on Monday. Port Pirie is also going to see temperatures reach the low 30s. Clare can expect a sunny 28 on Sunday before reaching 30 on Monday. Meanwhile, Broken Hill is in for that run of sunny days leading into the new working week with tops of 32. So Fraser, while there is a chance of some rain, the Spencer Gulf will experience a mostly sunny and clear weekend before next week kicks off.
Thanks, Amy, and that's the local news tonight. Thanks for joining us. Good night.